Hello, kids. Welcome to Mystery Readers. My name's McKenna.
And I'm Madison.
And I grew up in Fergus Falls. I graduated from the high school there and went to college in the cities. And now I live in Phoenix, Arizona.
And I go to North Dakota State University in Fargo.
Yeah, so we're so excited we get the opportunity to read you a story all the way from Arizona. We had to get a little creative. We didn't have a book, so we went to the 99-cent store here and got the only book that they had, which is Dumbo by Disney. So here we go. We hope you enjoy.
It's Dumbo. A stork flew into Mrs. Jumbo's railroad car and dropped a large bundle. Inside was a baby elephant. Jumbo Jr. is what Mrs. Jumbo named him. Look at him, cried the other elephants excitedly. Isn't he darling? Just then, Mrs. Jumbo baby sneezes. Out flapped two enormous ears. The other elephants gasped. They began to giggle. Aren't they funny? Said one elephant. Dumbo, said another. Mrs. Jumbo didn't care what the other elephants thought. She just loved her baby's big ears and all. She lifted him up in her trunk and gently rocked him to sleep.
That night, the circus train stopped and all the animals climbed out. The circus men put up a huge tent. The next morning, the circus parade made its way through the town. The band played. The clowns and animals marched down the street as the people clapped and cheered. Crowds hurried to the circus tent that night. They were eager to see all the animals. Look at his ears, cried one noisy boy, pointing at Dumbo. They were the funniest things he'd ever seen. The boys laughed and teased Dumbo. Then one of them pulled the little elephant's ears. Mrs. Jumbo trumpeted with anger. When she raised a hay bale to throw at the naughty boys, they ran away in terror. Down, down, cried the ringmaster, cracking his whip. Dumbo's mother was taken away and locked in a small cage far away from Dumbo. Back in the tent, the other elephants gossiped about the Dumbo's mother. I think she went a bit too far, one said. It's all the fault of, they pointed to Dumbo, then turned their back on him.
Nearby, a mouse called Timothy was watching. He felt sorry for the little elephant. All we've got to do is build you an act, Timothy said. Make you a star. Just then, they heard the ringmaster talking in his tent. Have I got an idea, he was saying. An enormous pyramid of pachyderms. Now comes the climax. So soon as the ringmaster was asleep, Timothy crept into his tent. He scraped up to the ringmaster's ear and said, Who is your climax, little elephant with the big ears? Dumbo. Dumbo, mumbled the ringmaster. Dumbo. The next morning, the ringmaster tried out his new idea. He had all the elephants balanced carefully on top of one another, and Dumbo was to be at the very top elephant, the star. But then, when Dumbo ran to jump into the top of the elephant, oh no, he tripped over his big ears and bumped into the pyramid. The elephants crashed to the ground and the whole circus tent fell down around them. Bump, bump, bump. Now the elephants were angrier than ever with Dumbo, but the ringmaster had another idea. Dumbo can become a clown. So Dumbo was dressed like a baby and put on the very top of the burning building. The other clowns pretended to be firefighters. They sprayed Dumbo with water and held a hoop for him to jump into. Poor Dumbo was terrified as he jumped. Down he dropped until he fell through the hoop. There's Dumbo.
Into a tub of sticky goo. The audience cheered and roared with laughter when Dumbo landed in the goo. But Dumbo was not happy at all. We're going over to see your mother, said Timothy to cheer up Dumbo. Dumbo and his mother were overjoyed to see each other. Mrs. Dumbo put her trunk through the bars of her cage and cuddled her son, singing a lullaby. But all too soon it was time for Dumbo to go. Sadly, he fell asleep and dreamed and dreamed. Dumbo cried a little after seeing his mother. All he wanted to do was to be with her. Once he lay down to sleep, he began to have the strangest dream. In the dream, he was blowing bubbles. Soon the bubbles looked just like elephants that danced and flew. The next morning, Timothy tried to convince Dumbo that he could fly just like a bird. He said Dumbo's ears were so big that they were like wings. Dumbo wasn't so sure, but he trusted Timothy. He would try to fly.
In the next show, Dumbo was once again with the clowns. They wanted him to leap from the burning building, but this time Timothy had given a bird feather to Dumbo. Timothy said it was a magic feather that would make him and help him fly. Holding it tight, Dumbo got ready to jump. It worked! Dumbo and Timothy soared through the air, but halfway to the bottom, Dumbo lost his grip on the magic feather. Without it, he couldn't fly. He and Timothy were falling. With the wind whistling past as they sped toward the ground, Timothy quickly told Dumbo that the magic feather wasn't real. He didn't need it. All he needed was to believe in himself. "Open those ears," Timothy said. "You can fly, you can." Dumbo took a deep breath and began to flap his ears as fast as he could. Suddenly, Dumbo was flying. He didn't need the feather after all. The ringmaster was amazed. He watched Dumbo swoop over the tub of goo and soared past the cheering crowds. Dumbo was a star. Look at him fly.
Before long, Dumbo was famous all around the world, just as Timothy had said he would be. Crowds flocked to the circus to see Dumbo the amazing flying elephant. The ringmaster released Dumbo's mother and gave her a special train car of her own, and Dumbo and his mother were very happy. There they are. That is the end of our story. So we have a little assignment for you guys. 2 things. 1, write a list of 3 places in the world, anywhere in the world, of where you would fly to if you could fly. And then, number 2.
Number 2 is pick one of those places, the 3 places that you wrote down, and draw yourself flying there.
Yeah, so we thank you for letting us read you the story today, and we hope you guys are enjoying this time at home and would love to see your drawings. So post them on Facebook. Bye.
Sweet, bye.